I don't see it. I don't. Yeah. Okay, we're live now. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lockdown ABL Fan Zone show. The very first of many we hope that we will talk through over the next couple of weeks as you stay locked down at home, following the government's guidelines to stay at home and defeat coronavirus. And so we're pleased to be here. We are excited. Ty and I are excited. We are the co-host of ABL Fanzone, and we have so much to talk about today. Mainly about soccer, sports in general, and what's kind of happening around the whole world. But before we start, we want to give a shout out to all the health officials, doctors, nurses, health workers, essential workers, grocery store clerks, mechanics, all those who are keeping us going in this very difficult time. You know, our hearts go out to you when we pray that you are well, you stay healthy, and God will watch over you during this difficult time. Our hearts and our prayers go out to you and your family. You guys have done a fantastic job, and we could not have, survived without you guys doing that. So we're really, really grateful for all the help that you do, and we keep praying for you. I mean, this same kind of virus happened 100 years ago in 1918, and they didn't have the kind of infrastructure and things that are happening now. So many more people died. But because of you guys, we're alive right now, and we're able to stay at home, work from home, and minimize our contact with this virus. So thank you again, and welcome to the ABL Fanzone show.
Kyle said, we want to give shout out to all our health officials, everybody that's on the front line really of this pandemic that we're going through. It's very unfortunate. It's going to be a brief fan song to give everybody what's going on in all sports, not just soccer. I have a brief recap update for everybody later on what's going on in all different sports arena. Again, welcome, Kyle. Thanks for joining us. As you can see, we're both in a remote location. Thanks to our producers, the ABL producer, for helping us put this together. Kyle is at home. I'm still at home, just like everything else. So, look forward to the next 15 to 30 minutes of updates what's going on in the sports world.
Yeah, and please share this link. We'll take a few moments for you guys to share this link to your friends, to join us online. I'm going to do the same as well. Tyler's going to do the same as well. Please share the link as you're watching right now on Facebook Live, and let's talk about what's going to end up happening. Again, this is the first of many. Based on how this goes today, we'll figure out if it's something we want to continue doing for the next couple of weeks or even months. It all depends on what kind of goes on. But even though Corona has kind of locked things down, there's a lot happening in the world of football, at least off the field. There's a lot about when the game is going to start again across the leagues in Europe. There's a lot happening even in the US with MLS and the whole USSF Development Academy, and Ty will talk us through that. We'll also talk about potential solutions to this whole crisis once football does come back, because at some point, hopefully, it comes back. And we'll talk about how does the season get started? When should it start? What are the impacts? And we'll also talk about the impact of this lockdown financially on the clubs, because I guarantee you there will be massive impact on financially on the clubs, especially in England and Europe in particular. And we'll talk about that and what the impact of FFP is going to be, because that seems to be a challenge at this point in time. So those are the things we'll talk about. We'll talk about, again, solutions to the European club season. We'll talk about the MLS and USFDA, the recent decision. And we'll talk through the financial impact that we see that's brewing for football in Europe in the near future. We welcome your comments, your thoughts, and any suggestions that you may have for us to move forward with. Oh, and one more thing, we'll talk about the potential Newcastle acquisition by the Saudi billionaire.
Yes.
We'll talk about that and what to expect to happen with that acquisition that may be happening in the next week or so. Ty, anything else you want to talk about?
No, you pretty much cover it while you're sharing. We just want to let everybody know that we're going to talk about the Premier League, the solution, the latest update first. That's going to be the first topic. And at the end, I'm going to cap with the United States side of things, where we are with the Youth Soccer Development Academy. There's a big change this weekend that's going to affect all kids, all parents. I'm sure every one of us that our kids is playing soccer or know a parent that's playing soccer, there's a big shift, big change.
Right.
We haven't seen a big shift and change in soccer in America as far as the youth level academy since 2007. This is the biggest shift and change. It's not all bad, it's not all good, but we'll break that. I'll break that down to everybody, and also the potential implications of pandemic on MLS and as far as salary for players and things like that. So, Kyle, so if you want to go ahead and start with the potential solutions to the Premier League, what you think it should be, and then we can talk about what announcement that came out yesterday.
Yeah, so there's a couple of interesting things. So I think every 2 weeks the Premier League meets to assess what's kind of going on, and then talk about football and when they could potentially come back. Apparently, what we're learning recently is that UEFA has written allegedly, UEFA have written a letter to the FAs in different countries like the Premier League and Bundesliga and La Liga that we should try to finish all their domestic competitions by July 31st. So keep that date in mind. That's the date that they want everybody to finish their leagues, all things being equal. The reason why they want everybody to finish their leagues is because they want to use the month of August to play all the Europa League games and also all the Champions League games. The goal is to start to play all those games, European competitions, in the first week of August. So that August 3rd, August 4th period. And then finish up the Champions League final on the 29th of August, which I believe is a Saturday. The Europa League final will be, I think, the 26th or the 27th of August. So that's what they want to use. They want to use the whole of August to wrap up the European competitions, but they want the leagues to finish their own competitions, let's say, by the end of July, which kind of begs the question, when is the new season going to start, right? It may be September, maybe October, we don't know. So based on that timeline that UEFA have allegedly told the Premier League and other leagues, the Premier League is saying that they want to start the competitions again in England on the weekend of June 13th to June 16th. That's when they're looking to start the Premier League, which tells you that in order for the players to get ready, remember they just can't come back after 2 months out and just start playing automatically. They have to have almost like a mini preseason for the next 10 games. And so to do that, they really have to kind of start preparing now, let's say by middle of May 13th or 14th. That gives them 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, the problem now is that the UK is still on lockdown till at least May 13th or 14th, assuming that everything works out and then the virus goes down and then the curve begins to flatten down. So I don't see how that's going to happen, frankly.
Well, I mean, one of the suggestions that is flowing out there is playing the games, obviously, in an empty stadium, having all the players stay in same hotel, transporting all the players without the non-essential staffs like they used to, and also testing all the staff every 3 days,
right,
or 2 or 3 days, and I'm all for it. Obviously, we're all bored. We want the sports to come back. But the problem with that is if one player tests positive during this whole process, then it pushes everything back. Now we're back at square one all over again, and we're gonna have to cancel. And I understand, like EPL, like you said, UEFA has got their own timeline. So does EPL, and I'm sure you're gonna touch on it later. Some leagues that have already canceled their leagues altogether. I think the Dutch already canceled their leagues and awarded the winner already. Just to move on and start focusing on next season. But because of the financial implications that it will cost. This moment, so I see why it's very hard for them.
The problem again with that, and I like the idea, but the problem with that idea is, so you're going to put all the 20 clubs of the Premier League into a hotel, right? You're going to you basically seclude them from everybody else. You're going to put all the camera people who are there, all the physical people are going to be there, all the physicians, everybody are going to be there. The problem you're going to have is to test them every 3 days. How many tests is that going to be? So you're going to deprive the public from the resources of testing to deploy to Premier League players because we want to finish the season when people are dying outside. It's a very complicated issue. What if some players say, look, I don't want to play because I'm afraid that my family may get affected with the coronavirus, right? Or somebody has the virus and they come to play and they affect everybody else. So
not only their family get affected, they're going to be away from their family.
Right.
During the time.
Yeah, right. And then, so, I mean, I've heard about, in England, I want to use St. George's Park, which is like the FA's park that has fields and hotels and everything else to house everybody and play. But I think that's a far stretch. And I think the issue that they're having right now is the fact they're trying to figure out a way to get that money from the broadcasters, right? Now, reality is, Ty, is that everybody's suffering out of it, right? Airlines are suffering, people's jobs are getting lost. Why should the Premier League be any different?
Well, it's not just the Premier League. I think because of so much money. I mean, majority of the money is coming from the broadcasting fees. So that's what they're looking for. If you look at UFC, Dan White was looking to have a fight in the island, to fly all the fighters there, trainers and everybody on the secluded island. I think it was April 18. He was ready to do it, but his broadcasting partner didn't want to have any of it, which was ESPN. And if ESPN would have backed them up or had no opinion, it would have been done. So again, this all for not just EPL, for UFC and everybody else, all this brought down to money. How much money are they willing to lose? Throughout this process. So that's again, it's a difficult time that we're in.
Oh, you speak about money, right? So we know that, for example, now that the broadcasters, I believe in Asia, DAZN, beIN Sports, and so all the broadcasters actually stopped paying. They stopped paying money for La Liga and for even the Premier League. They said that they're not going to pay it. So now you're left with people like NBC and everybody else who are kind of waiting. And what we're hearing is that they have until I think end of July or so to finish the league, or else they will lose about $800 or $900 million of revenue, right? The issue is, and so these are the issues that are not easy for anybody to rectify or address. I have a point of view that I think may be a solution to this whole mess, right? Which everybody's going to get. I think that for the Premier League season, the best thing is award Liverpool the title. They've already won it, right? Give them the title. Okay, so they want to give them the title. Nobody gets relegated. So all the bottom three right now don't get relegated. Next season, we have a 23-league season. So you promote the three clubs right now from the Championship, like Leeds and whoever else, promote them to the Premier League. 23 seasons, scrap the EFL Cup. So when you scrap the EFL Cup, the Carabao Cup, that time that you have for the Carabao Cup, you can use it to play the games, extra games that you have in the Premier League. The season afterwards, 6 teams go down, and then 3 teams come up. Now you're back to the order. The only issue we have with that issue is the fact that the European spots, so like the top 4 and etc. That's the issue. The only way you can resolve that is either you go by the current standings, so Chelsea and Leicester get it, and then whoever is fit gets Europa League, or you do a playoff between 2nd or 3rd and 8th.
So I agree with you. I want to thank Olumide Oloyede for joining and everybody else joining in. We're watching the live feed. But the only objection I have, and it's not really an objection, the only thing I have with that is promoting the 3 teams without relegation, right? It's unfortunate. I still think the 3 bottom teams should be relegated. The 3 bottom teams, if you're going to end the season right now, if you're forced to end the season, because of financial implications to the teams that need to get promoted. Because remember, England is a promotion and relegation league all throughout the leagues, from League 1, Champions League, League 5, or whatever. So I still think that promotion and relegation should still be enforced. Instead of having 23 games, go ahead, because of the history record and statistics, who get promoted, who gets relegated. Let the 3 bottom teams get relegated. Promote the 2 teams, 3 teams from the lower league, and let's move on as usual with 20 teams. The only suggestion I will make.
So in Scotland, they've actually implemented this thing. So they're not going to relegate teams. They're going to actually promote teams up the leagues and play more games. The only problem with the Premier League is the fact that it's so tight at the bottom right now that anybody can make the argument that they could have escaped relegation. So maybe
the argument is but the fact is, where you are when the game stop is where you get relegated. Of course, they're going to protest it. They're going to fight it. You might have to get some lawyers involved, but it is what it is. This is why every game, every point, every goals matter in a promotion and relegation league. This is not like MLS where you go into the playoff, at the end of the year. No, this is a promotion and relegation. So every point, every goal counts. Every goal for, every goal against. That, again, this is My opinion, and this is what I would suggest.
Yeah, I mean, your opinion is actually valid. This is why we're having this debate. Now, so what you're saying is the fact is that take a snapshot of the season as it is today. If we're going to cancel the season or stop the season, take a snapshot as it is today, award Liverpool the title because they're the champions, and then the way it is today is kind of where everybody kind of falls, right?
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Yep.
Yeah. Especially if given the fact that we can't start the game on time, because at some point, if the game can't start to say, let's say September, October, right?
Yes.
You now begin to cannibalize next season for 9 games this season. So next season, let's say it's $3.5 billion of TV revenue, right? Are you going to start to cannibalize next season's revenue because of 9 games? So at some point, the Premier League is going to have to make a decision on what goes forward. And what they're saying, they're going to leave it up to the government or the NHS to decide when they should come back and start playing soccer again. Yes. And you know how governments behave. Governments are always going to be conservative and say, well, we don't know yet until things are clear. That's when we can actually start. In fact, Gianni Infantino, the FIFA president, recently said that there should be no football until everything is 100% safe.
Yeah. You know, and that's why I said the 3 bottom teams should just go ahead and get relegated. You know, I understand it's doable either way.
Yeah.
But my argument is, if you're on the bottom right now, as of the time the league stopped, there's a reason why you're at the bottom. Yes, you may come up and win your last 4 or 5 games. We get it. But as of the time the league stopped, that's where you are. To make everything straight and clean and the way it's supposed to be, go down. If you're really that good, you'll come back up again. That's the beauty of promotion and relegation.
If we take a snapshot now, how do we resolve the issue of Man United, Sheffield United, Tottenham, Wolves, who are all pushing for that top 4 spot? How do you resolve that?
They stay where you already are. It's a promotion and relegation. Every goal counts. If you're in 6th right now, you're in 6th. If you're in 4th, you're in 4th. Unfortunately, no one has control over where we stop right now. Right?
Yeah.
So where you are right now is where you are. Where you are when the game will start. Even if you had a game in hand, it doesn't matter. Right? It shouldn't matter. So unfortunately,
the lawsuits that will happen where United, Tottenham, Wolves, Sheffield United, also the Premier League, where the 3 clubs who get relegated to the Premier League, it's going to be a financial mess.
They can score all they want. Remember, this whole stoppage is not because of Premier League.
Right.
This is because of unforeseen circumstances. So if you can prove why you could be placed ahead of somebody else, let's say, for example, Wolves is in 6th.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, let's use Sheffield United. Sheffield United right now is in 7th. Yeah. And they want to make an argument that we could be in the top 4 if the game is played out. Okay, yes, we agree. But you can't. The time.
Right.
So we're not going to play a game of hypothetical. Let's be factual. This is the factual. This is where you are right now. It's unfortunate. You're not going to be in Europa. Same thing that, Bournemouth, Villa, and Norwich can say, oh, yeah, if we play our game out, for example, you have Watford, who's 17th, and Bournemouth, who's 18, going down, same points, goal differential. Actually, you have 3 teams. Yeah. West Ham, Watford, and Bournemouth all have 27 points. It's unfortunate. We are promotion and relegation league.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to drop Watford for Bournemouth because you'll make a better argument. That makes no sense.
But do you not think that, and that's an option, I think your suggestion is a valid one, but what about not relegating but promoting the 3 up, and then next season 6 go down, which makes it even more difficult season?
It makes it more difficult. The reason why I don't prefer that option is because it makes things complicated, right? Like you said, if you do that, then you have maybe drop the EFL Cup or Carabao Cup or one of these leagues, one of these tournaments. But those tournaments is what historically have given a lifeline to some of the lower league teams.
Right.
A lot of these lower league teams look forward to playing that tournament, not for pride, but also financial reasons.
Correct.
So you just change the whole financial dynamic for next year and the year after that, and maybe even the year after that, because
you're right.
More 3 teams. So that's my argument: is let's not change the future because of what we currently face. Right? There's a reason why you're in the bottom 3. Take it and move on.
I mean, either way, they're going to be very difficult decisions that are going to be made. And I feel sorry for the new Premier League. The guy who just joined Premier League right now is the CEO is a new guy. He just joined this year.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so I feel sorry for the guy. But there are going to be some very difficult decisions that are going to have to be made. And speaking about financials, I mean, we all know that the FFP rule says that. I think it's dead. I think the current FFP rule is going to have to modify it given the current circumstance. Because think about it this way: FFP says that you cannot, you have to abide by rules whereby you cannot invest in your club. Whatever you buy in terms of buying players, you have to use it from the revenues that you make.
Yeah.
Right. So you know, so how is a club who are not making gate receipts, who have no money from TV, going to be able to and still have the player cost? I mean, they're still paying salaries.
Again,
they're still debating, right? Whether or not, right? How are they going to be able to meet those commitments and the FFP guidelines if they don't get owner investment from the outside?
So again, we're facing an historical moment in our lifetime, right?
Correct.
In sports history, in everything. So you're gonna have to make an exception. For example, I'm not sure if you read where the player contract that's supposed to expire at the end of June. I think June 30th. May be extended by a month if the leagues are still playing. So you got to make some exceptions. So I think for this year, the FF rule should be relaxed, really seriously. And I wouldn't imagine anybody fighting against that, honestly, unless you just want to flat out being ridiculous. You know, I think it should be relaxed. It will be relaxed. Anything other than that, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge with FFP being relaxed is if you relax for this year, and let's say let's say you own Bournemouth now, Ty, right?
Yeah.
And let's say right now, without you injecting money into the club, your club is going to lose, let's say, £60 million for this year, right?
Yeah.
You throw in, 100 million, so now they have covered their expenses and they have an extra 40. But you throw in 200 million because you want to buy players next year. So yes, you relax FFP this year, but the 2 years time, are they going to now bring FFP back? Because that affects how they make the revenue back to be able to meet the guidelines. You know what I'm saying? So it's
I mean, you have to look at where we are. You have to look at where you are at that particular moment. Is what I'm saying. Who knows how long this is going to take to recover from?
Right.
I mean, we could say a year. Next winter, this whole thing can come back again.
Right. And what do you do?
Something else can come back again that we have to be careful for. So you got to live it day by day. Look at the business people where, in America, look in America where, a lot of business companies are getting breaks and because of, high unemployment rate and all these things. It's not going to last forever. You have to look at it case by case basis. I think it should be relaxed this year and maybe next year if needed or the year after that, or maybe change it over a long time. It's okay for the service of your club. You are allowed to invest as needed until for the notice. And when that for the notice come, you give everybody enough time and warning saying, hey, starting next year or the following year, unless we have another catastrophic event globally, this is a new rule. Like I said, they are suggesting something similar to that when it comes to player contracts.
Right.
Relax a little bit.
Right.
I mean, while we're on that topic, I think one of the things that's going to really this whole pandemic is going to affect his player salary.
Absolutely.
Players 200 mil, 200 mils, keeper going for 90 mil. Those days are over because now clubs has to be financially prudent on how much they spend. So a lot of players may choose up to staying at their clubs longer than they would have in the past because of that money they were going to make or sell. A lot of things are going to change after this whole pandemic. Honestly, it's gonna be a different world out there.
Well, speaking about a different world, I mean, let's talk about Newcastle United. I mean, I think the timing of the new owners from Saudi Arabia who are looking to buy Newcastle is probably perfect, right? Think about it, right? Because this guy is worth what? I had his family is worth $1.3 trillion. Saudi Arabia. He himself is worth about $230 billion. So based on the old guidance of FFP, he could buy the club, but he couldn't spend that money on players, right? Newcastle would have to use their revenues that they generate to buy players. But if FFP is now relaxed, that's an opportunity for him not just to buy the club, but also to invest money into the club and buy players that he wouldn't have been able to buy before. So I think in terms of timing, it's a fantastic opportunity for this investor to go and actually buy at a cheaper rate now when there's a chaos than last when the deal was on.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that with Chelsea. Financial rules wasn't that tight when Abramovich came in.
Yeah.
And was able to spend and get Chelsea to where it is today. Man City, PSG. I mean, there's clubs around the world. So if I was a Newcastle fan, I'm happy. Somebody willing to come in and buy at this time and invest. This is the time for Newcastle to really, fight for that top 4 team in EPL in the next few years and become, top 4 or top 6 teams.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I think after this whole thing goes away, a lot's going to change, not just with our lives, but also in football in Europe in particular in general. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. I don't see how they're going to finish the season, though. I just don't. I mean, what do you think about that? You think you're going to finish the season?
So because of the money that is in play, I think they would do everything possible to finish it. Nothing is certain right now, but I still think they will finish because of the money in play, or they will do everything possible to finish because now they're giving them to end of July, right? If you give them 3 weeks before the end of the, let's say, for example, we're able to go back June 3rd, right? They can try to squeeze in the rest of the season, which is going to be difficult for the player, but I'm sure the players will be happy to get back. Us as a fan will be glad to have a soccer to watch for the summer since the Olympic is canceled and a lot of summer activities is canceled. So I think if the league can get back, even if it's in an empty stadium, to play by June 15, they will finish the season. Now, if by June 30th, we're still in the same predicament, there's no vaccine for COVID-19, there's nothing going on, then you cancel it. But if there's a reason, if there's a cure or a medicine that can expedite, because this is a common cold, right? It's just like a common cold, except that if you have underlying condition,
they say it's a little worse. They say it's worse than common cold. They say it's actually worse. It transmits even much more.
No, the transmission is worse. I'm talking about the effect on the body, right? Because we've seen people that contracted it and survived without having to be on a ventilator or going to the hospital. The transmission is worse. I'm not saying the transmission. I'm talking about the actual sickness that comes from COVID-19. Again, I'm not a doctor, so please don't quote me. But from what I'm seeing, one of my doctor, my knee specialist, actually contracted the disease and is doing a Facebook Live every other day to kind of push it out there. And I know 2 or 3 people who are in the medical field that actually has it. And one, the effect is, because of asthma and underlying condition is actually, feeling the effect more. And the other 2, they're not really feeling it. It's just like a common cold. Yeah, they get tired, get a little headache, but there's no reason for them to be hospitalized yet. And one has actually had it for about 14 days now. So he's on the tail end and coming out of it without, greater effect. So if there's a medicine that could expedite or there's a vaccine that could prevent it that comes out by June 3rd to June 15th, I think the league will finish.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, given where we are right now, we're mid of April. I think by May 15th, if there's no traction in vaccines or medicine, or the curve is still high and people are still dying by the hundreds a day, I don't see how they're going to finish it. I think they're going to have to make a decision.
I agree with you. But we actually moved that date back a little bit to like June 15th.
Yeah.
Because we say, okay, for example, in Italy, which was one of the worst hit places, it's actually died down now. The issue is how do you prevent it from those numbers from skyrocketing again, right? I'm not going to bring Chinese up because I don't believe their numbers, but that's just personal opinion. Has nothing to do with what they're reporting. But I'm looking at Italy, I'm looking at England, I'm looking at Spain. That was very big. And you look at California, you look at New York, the number is actually kind of it's starting to go in the right trend in those places. So if they can get control of that before the end of May, maybe before the end of April, maybe mid-May, then you can start planning to open sport events to an empty stadium or to select few by June. And then knowing EPL and how much they need the money, how much money is at stake, they're going to try to open the league, finish the season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I think we both agree that at some point, though, they have to say, okay, do we just take a snapshot and call it a day, and then focus on next season because of the money that you could lose. I mean, there are some people who say they should, for as long as it takes, that's how long they should wait until they start the season again. I don't believe it. I think if it's October, November, are you going to start cannibalizing next season for this season?
Nah, I don't think so. I think some people are saying that, but I don't think the EPL and I don't even think you ever would allow that.
They want everybody. Yeah, they've said they want everyone, but I think that they're just saying it because they want to remain optimistic. But I think to your point, I think by end of June, if nothing's happened, then we know it's dead in the water.
Yeah, we just have to shoot for a new season. Maybe this year will be the first time we don't have a Champions League winner. And just scrap it and say, okay, you know what? Asterisk 2019, 2020, no Champions League winner. Move on to the next thing. To the next season.
Yep.
So,
I mean, because right now, the way I look at it, I mean, life and health is more important than anything else. I mean, it's a game. It's a game of kicking the ball around, which is, I mean, people out there dying, thousands by the day. And so one has to think about, okay, well, what's more important for the world as a whole, and not just because of somebody's kicking the ball around the whole place. So I mean, at some point, the leagues, Germany, Spain, England, have to decide it's enough. Let's just shut it down. We move on. We start again, next year.
Definitely. I mean, and I think that time is sometime between June and July.
It has to be the other. Yeah, it has to be. In my opinion, it has to be really by middle of May. Someone has to decide, because you need that time to get players up to speed and figure out how they're going to do it. If by end of May nothing has happened, I don't think there's enough time to play it. But we'll see. You want to talk about US? What's going on with USDA?
Yeah. Before we go into that, I mean, Olympic, obviously, just quick news. Obviously, Olympic is canceled. If you haven't known. But what I want to mention about the Olympic being canceled is not actually. So next year, when it's been postponed, not canceled, next year is still gonna be Tokyo 2020.
Right.
Even though the event is going to be in 2021, but it's still going to be Tokyo 2020 because they spend millions and millions of dollars on promotion, on teddy bears and balloons and everything else. So, it's just one of those things. Wimbledon is canceled, due to time.
About Wimbledon, you know what happened, right? You know that they've been buying pandemic insurance for the past God knows how many years. I think they pay like they pay like $14 or $15 million or so for the insurance. And because they get, I think, over $100 million back.
Wow! So that's why they cancel it.
Yeah, it's smart, right?
Imagine if EPL would have done that.
Maybe I've done that, would have gotten some money back, right? And be
I mean, who would know? I mean, pandemic insurance. I didn't even think it exists until now.
Yeah, Wimbledon basically got pandemic insurance, and now they're getting paid. In fact, they're getting paid much more than they invested in insurance.
Yeah, I think that's a new business for a lot of insurance companies. And those that are happy, I think they're going to go ahead and just increase their the premium and they can get insurance. If now it could be realistic.
Yeah,
with all the money all these things are making, I think it's time for them to start looking into that.
They have to. I think I watched a video of Obama actually talking about, and even Bill Gates talking about 5 years ago, expecting this to kind of happen, and it's so we are where we are.
So talk about Americans. Right now, just to catch everybody up on what's going on. So NFL doesn't start till August, so they're still on schedule. The draft is next week.
Yeah.
What's it called? WNBA just did their draft last week, so they're still trying to go as normal as possible. Obviously, you don't have to pick draft party like they used to do. NASCAR, this is NASCAR season. Spring, summer is NASCAR season. And there's supposed to be a race May 8th and May 9th. That has been postponed, or probably that particular event is going to be canceled. There's no date to return yet. So for all the summer sports, it's really, really hitting them hard. Baseball, same thing. There's no return date yet. This is peak season for baseball. Opening day was actually like 2 weeks ago. So this would have been, As you know, baseball plays sometimes 5-6 games, doubleheader a day kind of season. So they could squeeze in 5 to 6 or 7 games a week sometimes. So this is really affecting their pocket for a team that a league that has 100 and don't quote me, I think 160 regular season games, then playoff. So this is huge for them. MLS postponed the start of the season until June 8th. Right now, they're proposing June 8th for the start of the season. They're looking into playing an empty stadium, just like the Premier League is talking about. So this is the peak season for MLS. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it this year. Maybe what they could do, this might kind of push them into joining the whole world schedule. Because MLS is on a different schedule from everybody else. So maybe this might push them into joining the August starting date and put them in the world schedule. The problem with that is if they go to that schedule, they're going to lose a lot of money. American fans are not going to go out in the cold to watch soccer like everybody else.
Right.
So I don't have a say. If I have a say, what I would say is join the world schedule for this year. This is a good reason for you to experiment with it. And what you do, you have a couple teams that are in South, like Florida. You have Orlando. You have 2 teams in Florida. Now you have Miami and Orlando. You have Nashville. You have 2 teams in Dallas FC. I forgot the other one right now. Houston Dynamo. So maybe what you do is the teams that are up or not that have crazy winter schedule, like Toronto, Montreal, New York, Chicago, all those teams get a lot of home games early in the league. And then you make sure between December 1st to like January 30th of mid-February, they have no games at home. So they play, instead of playing all the southern teams, they'll play them in the winter during that time. And maybe you include at least a 2-week schedule, holiday schedule during the winter time. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not the MLS president, but if I was in that position, that's what I would suggest. Okay, let's get on the work schedule, play a lot of game, up north early in the season when the weather is still great. Maybe once a month, play 1 game down south so that the friends down south, and then in the winter, hey, all the tournaments in the winter are held in Florida anyways. Me and my kids would go to Florida every year the last couple of years for tournaments. So the weather is great. It's not too hot. Put all the southern teams again, Nashville, Houston. So that's and Southern California is another great one. Like LA, you have LA Galaxy that could play all year round. So this is a great opportunity. If MLS was smart and brilliant enough, this is their time to capitalize on this. You about to say something?
That's a good idea. I think your idea is sound. Hopefully somebody's listening. Maybe they should hire you from ABL to help them.
Hey, I'll take the job. I'll take the job. I'll do the schedule and everything. We'll consult with them. Honestly, I think this is the time for them to really get on that schedule. You can work around it. You got to be prepared to make any changes. PGA has announced that they're going to start golf. June 11th. It's supposed to be the
no fans. No fans, right? Just the players.
No fans, just the players and the caddies and everything else. So I don't know. I forgot the location. I should have wrote it down. But anyway, so that's what's going on locally. The biggest news before we go to the biggest news domestically this year, I want to thank BB, Ainonade, William Jones, Adela Adeniyi, and Pajay for joining us. We're just doing we're just doing a quick recap of sports, what's going on. So the biggest news locally this year is development the DA cancellation,
right?
Which is the Development Academy League. So if you're not familiar with the way American sports is, soccer session. So you have MLS, that's the biggest league. Then you have USL 1 and all this other league. But as far as the academy, this is the MLS. DA is the biggest competition, the biggest league in America for non-professional kids from before it was from age 12 to 19. Last year it became U13. all the way up to U19, so to say, because even though they go by birth year. So this year they came out, I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday, saying that it's unfortunate that the DA is canceling.
Yeah.
So here is my spin to this, right? MLS team has been thinking about the DAs. Just to give you a little background, DA started in 2007, which was a great idea. It started under Bob Bradley. This is one of the things that I love Bob Bradley so much. When he's the head of U.S. National team, he kind of helped, put in place and a bunch of brilliant idea. When DA started, in 2007, it's actually a really, really good idea. It was a brilliant idea, but they have failed, in my opinion, to evolve as soccer got more and more popular in America, to incorporate, because all kids, we're not built the same, right? If you look at college players, even look at college players that are grown, you have NCAA Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. You also have NJCAA for those that are less privileged or doesn't have the opportunity but still want to play whatever sport they play, regardless if it's basketball, soccer. They could play in NJCAA in different divisions, right? So, but DA has not done that. It's left the DA strictly for elite players, and that's one of the issues that they have. So now MLS has come out and said, "Hey, thank you for canceling for us. We're going to start our own MLS Academy League," which is absolutely brilliant. And I've first heard about this thing 2 years ago, about them starting their own league and finding a way to break out from the DA system, which is funded by US Soccer. So US Soccer is saying, "Oh, we run out of money. Sorry, we can't maintain it." Someone else is like, "Perfect. We're gonna start our own league." And there's another league called ENCSL. Sorry if I messed that up. Basically, it's the second league to DA. So a lot of the teams, like locally in DC area, you have Bethesda, Baltimore Armor, that are part of the DA program. If they can't join the MLS, like the DC United and Philadelphia Union, they can break away and go into the ECNL. The good thing is it's a tougher competition, and MLS is also saying we're going to make this an international competition by including Canadian MLS teams and even some of Mexican MX League academies.
That's good. That's good.
It's going to cost more money. It's a lot of travel, but I think the competition level is going to be great. It's actually going to raise the level of soccer, because now, for example, if you play for this United, you're competing against players in League MX, so it's making you raise your standard. Now, the bad part to that is, yes, a lot of kids that are playing, like maybe for Bethesda or Baltimore, that are playing the highest level are going to drop behind and have to play in a lower level league, so to say. But again, it makes the competition tougher, right? So some kids that are playing travel, select travel may drop, because now you have a bunch of kids from DA who's coming down to your league. So some kids are going to drop to a lower level league, and those lower level kids are also going to get tougher. So I think overall it's a brilliant idea. I know a lot of parents don't like it. They think it's a way to get rid of some players from high level soccer, but it's not. It's like that all over the world. If you go to Italy, you go to Spain, every Premier League team have their own academy. They play in their own league, and then they play like this Champions League, U19, U17, which is great and brilliant. So that's a quick gist of news in the United States. Quick recap again. MLS is coming to come back June 8, PGA June 11, NASCAR no dates, NFL still skipping their fall schedule. So sorry, I know it's a long rambling, but it's a lot of news.
I mean, I think it's good. So it looks like the US is not going to mirror what happens in England, where you have like the Premier League have their own academy team. They actually have their own Premier League for U18 and for under 23. So they have they have the FA Cup. They have Premier League as well. So if you're a player, let's say you're a good football player, let's say you're a sack, you would have to go through the system, and then a MLS will have to pick you, come and scout you and pick you to join the academy. Is that how it works?